High Commander Vexterra received the transmission from the Truth Seeker with growing disbelief. The quantum feed showed images that challenged everything the Watchers thought they knew about technological progression. Her crystalline core pulsed with agitation as she watched humans demonstrating capabilities that should have been impossible. "Show me again," she commanded, and a recording replayed. A human device, barely larger than a hand, manipulating quantum fields without any detectable power source. Next to it sat one of the Watchers' most advanced field generators, massive and humming with power, producing the same effect, but requiring enough energy to power a small city. The implications are disturbing. Analysis Chief Corleth observed. Their entire technological base operates on principles we never considered. They haven't just matched our capabilities, they've superseded them. On the main display, Dr. Elena Santos was explaining humanity's journey to the captive audience of Watcher scientists. Her words painted a picture that sent ripples of unease through the observation post's crew. "Your civilizations grew by pushing outward," Elena's recorded image explained, manipulating a hologram that existed without any projector their sensors could detect. Each advancement meant more power, more emissions, more presence. "We learned to grow by turning inward, to accomplish more with less, to exist in the spaces between what you could detect." The demonstration that followed silenced even the most skeptical observers. A human ship, if it could be called that, phased into existence beside their primary defense platform. The massive station's sensors registered nothing until the vessel chose to reveal itself. More disturbing still, the platform's quantum shielding, believed impenetrable, offered no protection against humanity's phase-shifted technology. "How many?" Vexterra asked quietly. "Unknown," Corleth replied, understanding the real question. "If they can operate completely outside our detection capabilities, we have no way to gauge their true numbers or capabilities. The forces we've seen could represent their entire fleet, or a tiny fraction of it." The strategic implications were staggering. Every defense system, every early warning network, every protective measure the Watchers had developed over millennia was based on detecting and responding to energy signatures. Against an enemy that could exist between such signatures, they were effectively blind. But the humans weren't acting as enemies. Despite having the capability to bypass any of the Watchers' defenses, they had chosen a path of diplomatic contact. They were offering to share their discoveries, to teach the Watchers about the spaces between conventional reality. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," a communications officer announced. The message was being transmitted simultaneously to every Watcher facility in the galaxy, using their own secure networks in ways they had never intended. Dr. Elena Santos appeared on every screen, her image clear despite requiring no detectable transmission medium. "For centuries, your civilization has watched others, categorizing them as either potential equals or inevitable failures. Today, we offer you a choice of our own." The display shifted, showing a demonstration that made Vexterra's crystalline structure vibrate with shock. A human facility, large enough to house millions, phased completely out of normal spacetime. It didn't vanish or become cloaked. It simply shifted sideways into a realm their sensors couldn't perceive. "We can teach you to see the spaces between spaces," Elena continued, "to accomplish more with less, to advance not through brute force, but through understanding the subtle layers of reality. Or you can maintain your current path, knowing that you're only perceiving a fraction of what the universe contains." High Commander Vexterra studied the data streaming through her neural interface. The humans had revealed enough of their capabilities to demonstrate overwhelming superiority, yet their approach remained peaceful, almost pedagogical. They weren't demanding surrender or imposing terms. They were offering education. "Your response?" Elena asked, and Vexterra realized with a start that this wasn't a recording. The human was communicating in real time, using principles that made their most advanced quantum entanglement systems look primitive. The High Commander of the Watchers, tasked with observing and judging the development of countless civilizations, found herself in an unprecedented position. For the first time in their history, the Watchers would become the students. "We accept your offer," Vexterra responded, her harmonic voice carrying both humility and curiosity. "Humanity has shown us that there is more to progress than we imagined. We are prepared to learn." Dr. Elena Santos moved silently through the sprawling underground complex of New Alexandria, her footsteps absorbed by the specially designed flooring that prevented any detectable vibrations from reaching the surface. The massive library city, built beneath the ruins of Cairo, housed humanity's greatest achievement: survival through invisibility. The quantum display before her showed the alien probe's death spiral, its systems completely shut down by the orbital defense grid's null field generators. The technology produced no electromagnetic signature, no energy readings, nothing that their watchers could detect. That was humanity's greatest secret. They hadn't regressed. They had transcended. "Status report on the incoming vessel," Elena asked, her voice carried through the acoustically isolated chamber by old-fashioned sound waves rather than any form of electronic communication. "The Truth Seeker will enter orbit in approximately 6 hours," responded Dr. James Chen, his fingers dancing across the crystalline interface of their quantum computer. "Crew complement of 15 Watchers, standard research configuration. They still think they're studying ruins." Elena allowed herself a small smile. For 20 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. When they first detected the alien observation posts, panic had nearly driven them to conventional warfare. Instead, they chose a different path, one that had transformed human civilization in ways their observers couldn't imagine. "Begin Phase 1, she commanded. "Alert all subsurface cities to initiate deep coverage protocols." Across the planet, in hundreds of underground metropolises, humanity withdrew even further into their hidden world. The surface, already appearing abandoned, would now show signs of accelerated decay. Let the aliens see exactly what they expected to see. In her private chamber, Elena reviewed the development that had brought them to this point. The walls, lined with phase-shifted quantum crystals, displayed humanity's true technological renaissance. They had learned to harness zero-point energy without generating detectable emissions. They had developed quantum entanglement communications that required no traditional signals. They had built the civilization that existed in the spaces between what their observers could detect. "Dr. Santos," James interrupted her thoughts, "we're receiving interesting data from the null field interaction with their probe. Their technology. It's both more and less advanced than we anticipated." Elena moved to his station, studying the analysis. "Explain." "Their conventional technology is centuries ahead of what we had when we went dark," he began, "but it's all based on the same fundamental principles. They never explored the paths we were forced to take. They can detect any form of energy emission, but they have no concept of zero-emission technology, because they never had to hide." Elena concluded. "They developed in full view of the galaxy, broadcasting their presence proudly. We developed in silence, in darkness, learning to accomplish more with less." A soft chime indicated another update from the surface sensors. The Truth Seeker had adjusted its approach vector. Aiming for a low-orbit pass over what used to be New York City, they would find exactly what they expected: crumbling infrastructure, abandoned buildings, the apparent remnants of a failed civilization. "Are the quantum mirrors in place?" Elena asked. "Yes," James confirmed. "Any active scans will be reflected back with carefully crafted decay signatures. As far as their sensors can tell, Earth is a dead world." Elena moved to the central command platform, her mind connected to the vast network of humanity's hidden infrastructure through neural interfaces that produced no detectable signals. Above them, billions of tons of rock and soil hid their cities from view. But more importantly, their technology itself was invisible, operating on principles the Watchers had never considered. "Begin charging the planetary phase drive," she ordered. It was humanity's ultimate achievement. The ability to shift an entire planet slightly out of phase with normal spacetime, rendering it completely undetectable. They had tested it on Mars, causing the Watchers to document the mysterious disappearance of the red planet for 3 full minutes before they restored it. What if they decide to land? James asked, though he already knew the answer. Then they'll meet the children of darkness, Alina replied, and learn that silence doesn't always mean death. Sometimes it means evolution. Throughout the hidden cities of Earth, humanity waited and watched. They had spent 20 years preparing for this moment, developing technologies that worked on principles their observers had never imagined. They had learned to split atoms without radiation, to communicate without signals, to build without leaving traces. The truth seeker would arrive expecting to document humanity's end. Instead, they would become part of humanity's new beginning, whether they wanted to or not. Research Director Kelvor of the Truth Seeker stood motionless on the ship's observation deck, all 4 of his optical sensors focused on the dead city below. New York's skeletal towers reached toward the sky like the fossilized remains of extinct creatures, exactly what he had expected to find. Yet something about the scene felt wrong. All environmental readings conformed to standard post-collapse patterns, his senior analyst reported. Atmospheric recovery progressing at predicted rates. No unexpected radiation signatures, no signs off. The ship shuddered. Report, Kelvor demanded, his crystalline sensors flaring with sudden energy. Unknown field effect. The ship's systems operator responded, their normal calm replaced by growing concern. We're losing power to all primary systems, secondary systems failing. Quantum core showing impossible readings. Kelvor felt it then, a subtle shift in reality itself, as if the ship was sliding sideways through dimensions that shouldn't exist. The dead city below began to change. The decay melted away like morning mist, revealing gleaming structures that defied their sensors' ability to detect them. Impossible, he whispered, just as the ship's artificial gravity failed. They hung suspended in zero as new lights appeared around them. Structures and technologies that had been there all along, operating on principles that the Watchers' most advanced sensors couldn't comprehend. The truth seeker was being drawn downward, not by any detectable force or energy beam, but by something that existed in the spaces between conventional physics. Multiple contacts. The sensor operator called out, their voice tight with controlled panic. Reading. Nothing. I can see them visually, but they're producing no energy signatures, no emissions, no. Through the observation windows, Kelvor watched as vessels emerged from hiding. Sleek, dark shapes that seemed to flicker at the edges of perception. They moved with impossible grace, surrounding the truth seeker without generating any detectable propulsion signatures. This is Dr. Elena Santos of Earth's United Defense Force. A voice echoed through their ship's communication systems, though their sensors detected no transmission. Your vessel is now under our control. Please remain calm. We mean you no harm. The truth seeker descended into what appeared to be an enormous underground hangar, though moments ago, their deep scanning radar had shown only solid bedrock. As they watched, sections of the ceiling seemed to phase in and out of existence, allowing them passage while maintaining a perfect seal against the atmosphere. How? Kelvor began, but words failed him. Everything he knew about physics, about the natural progression of technological civilization, was being undone before his eyes. The ship settled onto a platform that shouldn't exist, held in place by forces their sensors couldn't detect. Through the windows, they could see humans approaching, not the primitive survivors they had expected, but figures wearing suits that seemed to bend light around them, carrying devices that registered as empty space to their most sensitive equipment. For centuries, you watched us, the human voice continued. You cataloged our emissions, monitored our development, and waited for us to either join the galactic community or destroy ourselves. But you never considered a third option. The human delegation reached the truth seeker's main airlock. Despite the ship's security protocols, despite their most advanced encryption, the outer door simply shifted, creating an opening that bypassed all their safeguards. "We learned to live between the light and darkness," Alina explained as she led a small team into the ship. "To exist in the quantum spaces your sensors couldn't penetrate. To advance not by making more noise, but by making less." Kelvor found himself facing the human woman whose suit seemed to constantly shift between states of existence. Behind her stood others, their technology so subtle it was almost invisible, yet so advanced it made the Truth Seeker's systems look primitive by comparison. "Welcome to Earth," Alina said, extending her hand in what their cultural database identified as a greeting gesture. "We have much to discuss about the future of galactic civilization." The research director looked at his crew, at their disabled but undamaged ship, at the vast complex that had appeared from nowhere, and understood that everything was about to change. The observers had become the observed, and humanity was about to teach them just how limited their view of the universe had been. High Observer Vexterra stood before the quantum projection, her crystalline sensors glowing softly in the dimly lit command center of the observation post Gamma. The data streams flowing through her neural interface painted a familiar picture, one she had seen countless times before across hundreds of worlds. Yet something about this particular reading made her outer membrane ripple with unease. "Confirm analysis," she commanded, her harmonic voice echoing through the chamber. "Show me Earth's electromagnetic signature over the past solar revolution." The holographic display shifted, revealing a planet once bright with artificial emissions now appearing eerily dark. Where there had once been a vibrant web of communications, power distribution, and technological activity, now only scattered natural phenomena registered on their sensors. 98% reduction in technological signatures over the past orbital cycle, reported Analysis Chief Korlev, his data tendrils weaving complex patterns as he processed the information. Remaining emissions consistent with degrading infrastructure and random discharges. The pattern matches all previous cases of civilization collapse. Vexterra's primary consciousness focused on the projection while her secondary mind reviewed the historical database. The Watchers had documented the rise and fall of countless species across the galaxy. It was their sacred duty to observe, record, and preserve the knowledge of those who failed to transcend their planetary limitations. "Prepare a summary for the High Council," she ordered, though something in her crystalline core still resonated with doubt. "Earth will be classified as Case Study 47,293, terminal technological regression leading to societal collapse." As her staff began compiling the report, Vexterra's attention was drawn to a subtle anomaly in the data stream. The decay pattern of Earth's emissions seemed almost too perfect. In her centuries of observation, she had never seen a civilization fade so uniformly, so completely. "Director," Korlev interrupted her thoughts, "the Council has approved deployment of a research vessel. They want us to document the remains before natural degradation erases all evidence." The survey ship Truth Seeker would arrive within one planetary rotation. Its mission was simple: catalog another failed experiment in the grand tapestry of galactic civilization. Yet as Vexterra studied the darkened sphere of Earth, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. "Launch long-range probes," she commanded. "I want detailed atmospheric analysis, surface scanning, and deep radar surveys before the research team arrives. If these humans left any clues about their downfall, we will find them." The probes streaked away from the observation post, their quantum drives leaving brief ripples in space-time. As Vexterra watched them disappear into the darkness, she wondered if perhaps she was being overly cautious. After all, the pattern was clear. Humanity had followed the same path as countless others before them. But in the depths of her crystalline consciousness, a troubling thought began to form. What if, for the first time in the Watchers' long history, they were not observing extinction, but evolution? The first probe reached Earth's upper atmosphere, its sensors extending to begin their survey. In the command center, Vexterra and her team waited for the initial data burst. When it came, the readings were puzzling. Atmospheric composition shows significant reduction in industrial pollutants, Corleth reported. Natural recovery rates accelerated beyond standard models. Surface radiation levels nominal. No evidence of warfare or environmental catastrophe. Continue scanning, Vexterra ordered. I want to know. The probe's signal vanished. Technical malfunction, she questioned, but before anyone could respond, a second probe went dark. Then a third. For the first time in her long existence, Vexterra felt something she had never experienced before. Fear, not of destruction. The Watchers had witnessed countless violent ends. No, this was the fear of the unknown, of a mystery that defied their careful categorization of the universe. Recall remaining probes, she commanded, her harmonic voice carrying an edge that made her staff's membranes ripple. Inform the truth seeker to proceed with extreme caution. Something is very wrong here. As the remaining probes retreated from Earth's orbit, Vexterra's gaze remained fixed on the seemingly dead world below. In all their millennia of watching civilizations rise and fall, they had never encountered this scenario. The humans hadn't simply vanished or destroyed themselves. They had done something else entirely. They had learned to hide. Elena's smile carried across species barriers. Then let us begin your civilization's next phase of evolution. The universe is far stranger and more wonderful than either of us imagined alone. Together, we can explore the true nature of reality. 5 years after first contact, the Mars Institute of Quantum Studies stood as a testament to what two civilizations could achieve together. Its crystalline spires phased between dimensions, existing simultaneously in normal space, and the quantum realm humanity had discovered. Inside one of its primary lecture halls, Dr. Elena Santos watched as human and Watcher students collaborated on their latest project. Remarkable, Research Director Kelvor observed, his crystalline sensors pulsing with appreciation. When we first arrived on Earth, I never imagined I would see our species working together like this. A young Watcher student, assisted by her human partner, successfully shifted a quantum matrix into phase space, accomplishing with elegant precision what their civilization's most powerful machines once struggled to achieve. The achievement spoke volumes about how far they'd come. The key was learning to question our assumptions, Elena replied, remembering those first tense days of contact. Your people had to unlearn millennia of conventional thinking about technological progress. We had to overcome our fear of being discovered. Through the quantum glass windows, the Martian landscape stretched to the horizon, dotted with new structures that defied traditional physics. The Red Planet had become the center of their joint civilization's greatest achievements, a neutral ground where both species could build something entirely new. In orbit, ships of both civilizations moved with silent grace, their phase-shifted drives allowing them to slip between the dimensions of normal space. The Watchers had adapted quickly once they understood the principles, their advanced manufacturing capabilities complementing humanity's innovative approach to physics. The latest data from the galactic core is fascinating, Kelvor said, bringing up a holographic display that required no energy to maintain. 3 more pre-industrial civilizations discovered in the spaces between conventional detection bands. We would have missed them entirely using our old methods. Elena nodded, feeling a deep satisfaction. The Watchers had transformed from passive observers into active guardians, using their new understanding to find and protect developing species. They now knew that technological advancement could take many paths, not just the obvious ones they had monitored for so long. Director Santos, a young human student, approached, accompanied by her Watcher study partner. We've made a breakthrough in the Quantum Entanglement Communication Project. The 2 students demonstrated their discovery, showing how they had managed to establish instantaneous communication across quantum phases, an achievement that merged the best aspects of both civilizations' approaches to technology. Elena felt a surge of pride. This was exactly what they had hoped for when they established the Institute. You know, Kelvor mused, some among my people still find it difficult to accept that we missed your development for so long. Our entire civilization was based on observation. Yet we fail to see the most important evolution happening right in front of us. Sometimes the most significant changes happen in silence, Elena replied. We didn't choose to hide out of fear or aggression, but because we needed time to understand ourselves and our place in the universe. When we finally revealed ourselves, it wasn't as conquerors or victims, but as teachers and partners. A soft chime indicated the arrival of new data from the deep space probes they had launched together. These vessels, incorporating both species' technologies, were exploring regions of space that had been invisible to conventional sensors. They were discovering that the galaxy was far more populous and diverse than anyone had imagined. The Council has approved the expansion of the education program, Kelvor announced. We're establishing similar institutes in 12 more star systems. The next generation of both our species will grow up understanding the full spectrum of reality, not just the obvious parts. Elena smiled, remembering the long years humanity had spent developing in darkness. What had seemed like a limitation had become their greatest strength, forcing them to explore aspects of physics that the Watchers' more direct approach had overlooked. Have you received the latest applications for the exchange program? She asked. Yes. Kelvor's sensors pulsed with amusement. More Watcher scientists volunteering to study in Earth's underground cities than we have positions for. They're particularly interested in your zero-emission power generation techniques. The success of their cooperation had exceeded even the most optimistic predictions. Humanity had gained access to the galaxy and centuries of accumulated knowledge, while the Watchers had learned to see beyond their traditional understanding of progress. Together, they were pushing the boundaries of what both species had thought possible. To think, Elena mused, watching another group of students successfully complete their quantum manipulation exercise. All of this started because you thought we had destroyed ourselves. And instead, Kelvor finished, you showed us that what we thought was an ending was really just a different kind of beginning. Outside, the Martian sunset painted the sky in shades of red and gold, visible both to normal eyes and quantum sensors. In laboratories and classrooms throughout the Institute, the next generation of both species worked together, exploring the spaces between spaces, proving that the greatest discoveries often come not from overwhelming force or brilliant light, but from learning to listen to the silence between the stars.